Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? What's up? Oh, it's been too long since I've been live, but y'all know I've been putting the pods out. Hold on. We're going to see if anybody joins. Really, I'm honestly feeling lazy. So I said, you know what, let me do a live stream. That's the easier way for me. That's the easier way for me to get it off. If you're in the chat, if you're here, please say something. Let me post this on social media, but let me know you're here. You know what? We'll do a quick live stream just to, you know what I mean? The Diddy sentence is a big one, so it's a big one. So it's something really to discuss, man. How y'all doing? How's everybody doing? How y'all been? This is a big one, so we definitely got to talk about it. Definitely got to discuss it. Definitely got to discuss it. Please, if you come in here, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts below, interact, do all that good stuff. Do all that good stuff, please. But if you don't get a chance to watch it live, that's cool too. I'll talk to y'all. I'm still gonna talk. Still gonna discuss it, you know. I can see why, it's a Friday evening. I haven't been live in a while. Man, my prediction was so on point. I just posted on social media. I posted on Twitter and Instagram. If y'all seen what my prediction was for this Diddy sentence back in July. It's crazy how on point I was. First I said 5 years, right? Then I said, you know what? Let me look up the judge. I looked up the judge. I looked up his background, read a little bit of his bio, looked at the company he used to work for, and I came with the most on point prediction that you could have came with. And it was spot on, you know? It was spot on. You know, people start a live show, a live stream and be like, yo, we're not gonna start until we get this many people in here. I'm not doing that. No, we're not doing that. Now, is anybody watching right now? Are you one of the people who's seen the last podcast I did? That's the one where I was talking about the teacher and the all that type of stuff, right? Uh-oh. Hold on, y'all. We got a live stream. Somebody just sent me something like literally while I'm on here. And it is, what's going on, Vanderveer? So y'all remember I did the joint last time about the teacher. Somebody literally, as I'm sitting right here, sent me, the teacher just put up a video. And I'm assuming that she's responding to me, right? She literally just put a video up. Somebody, I don't know what she's talking about in this video, but I'm going to pull it up here. And we're going to see what she's talking about. But I think she might be discussing me, or she might be discussing the situation. So the update on that is, all right, so this whole thing with this teacher, it didn't go viral, but it went viral-ish in the back home where I'm from and in the area that she works in right now, which is Pittsburgh. So it's been seen by her job and all this type of stuff, right? So she has been put on administrative leave. So, never mind. This is a video about, never mind, it's not a new video. He just said something to be about, this is a couple years ago, but he thought it was interesting after watching my podcast. after watching my podcast, he thought it was interesting that she would make a video about boundaries. So I'm going to check that out too. But anyway, so the teacher has been put on administrative leave by her job, Pittsburgh Public Schools, right? And I see Vanderbilt say I hope she was honest. She was definitely not honest. The school ended up contacting me, right? What she said, everybody heard that phone call. Anybody who listened to the podcast, you heard the phone call that she had with me, right? According to all right, so she pretty much told her employer that the quote unquote inappropriate relationship or whatever was her oversharing, like pretty much her just oversharing. She was telling me too much about her personal business, and it was nothing other than that. It was just that. So, yeah, Vanderbilt said this is the year of truth and justice. Facts. Chickens coming home to roost, truth and justice, all that type of stuff was done in the dark, come to the light. You know what I'm saying? It's only so long fake thugs can pretend, all that type of stuff, right? So the update is really that Youngstown SVU Special Victims Unit is involved. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Special Victims Unit is involved. Pittsburgh Public School System is doing an investigation. There are possibly more victims that will be coming out. There's more that I've heard about. Other teachers from the Pittsburgh Public School System have contacted me and said that there was another child she did the same thing with as recently as of last year. And the boy is now in jail. So he probably don't even know what's going on right now. But yeah, it's crazy. Now we talking about as recently as of last year, right? Y'all heard what she said on the call. She was pretty much trying to make it seem like she made a mistake when she was young and in her 20s and all that. But this is supposedly still going on while you're 47 years old, right? That's the rumor. I don't know. That's allegedly. I don't know. I said supposedly. This is the word that I'm getting from Pittsburgh. The word I'm getting from Pittsburgh is other students have come out since they figured out why she was put on leave. Other students have come forward to say, hey, she's still doing that. She was just doing that last year to our classmate that's now in jail. You understand what I'm saying? So this is, Vanderbilt said, I wonder if he turned to crime from abuse. Could be, because clearly, you know what I'm saying, he was an at-risk youth, and she took advantage of that, right? Allegedly. I don't know. So boom. Now, did the people get to see the prediction that I put up on my from July, my prediction of the Diddy situation? Essentially what I said was, because the judge is only 46 years old and he's from Pittsburgh, he grew up on the East Coast, he has been living in New York and working in New York at a law firm since 2007, it's highly likely he's a Diddy fan. It's highly likely that he's left-leaning. It's highly likely he's sex positive. So he was never going to give Diddy 20 years or max him out at 10 years per charge. That was never happening, right? However, part of being left-leaning and liberal and all about progressiveness is also protecting victims of these types of crimes. So Diddy was also, so as much as the judge was never going to give Diddy 10 years for each crime, for each one of those charges or convictions, he was also never going to give Diddy no time and let him go home on the same day. It was no chance at all that Diddy was going home today, right? I know some people thought it. They were saying that Diddy just did a booking or whatever, that he had a booking in 2 weeks down in Miami area. I don't know why his legal team would have ever decided that was a good idea. Whoever tried to book him probably was setting him up, because how did that get public? How did a Diddy booking get public on the day of his sentencing? So it might have been a setup from the beginning. He was being a little bit arrogant, thinking that he was going on juice, thinking he was going to get out today. You know what I'm saying? This is what I wanted to say about this, because I've been in a situation, not like Diddy. I ain't been in no Diddy type situation, but I've been in a situation where it's like all your life you've been in and out of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Situations, trouble, whatever like that. I'm saying all your life. I mean, all my, different times, not all my life, different times I've been into stuff. And for the most part, I've been able to like wiggle my way out, talk my way out, whatever, charm my way out, something. I've been able to escape the maximum type of punishment, right? Then I ran into a situation where that was no longer possible. Like, there's no way around this. You could get a paid lawyer. You can, do charity, do community work, do all of this type of stuff. It really don't matter. You can write one of those good speeches during sentencing. You could do all of that. The thing that you did is too much for them to let go. You're going to prison. That's where Diddy is at with it right now. I think that's where Tory Lanez found himself also. Diddy and Tory Lanez came off a little bit arrogant though. Diddy was halfway. I think Diddy's lawyers kind of referenced something where they pretty much said that he was like, yo, I shouldn't have to do that because there are no victims here. So Diddy is still taunting these people. And then you doing that before you even get sentenced. I mean, there was no way that you thought a judge was going to let you go home after some of the stuff that you've been accused of. Now, of course, you were actually convicted of the lightest of the things that they were accusing you of, right? The Mann Act, and I'm saying light, like I'm not making light of it, but it's the lightest of the things he was charged with because he was actually facing life in prison for the whole case, right? They wanted to give him life and they did what they could. But I think that the prosecution dropped the ball. They focused way too much on humiliating him, showing how nasty he was, showing how freaky he was, instead of making him look like a criminal and an organization mastermind. The way that you kind of make somebody look like the boss of a criminal organization, you need to show the organization and criminalize everybody else. When you only try to criminalize one person and you don't charge anybody else, it looks like you're picking on him because of his fetishes. They didn't make it look enough like an organized sex ring type of thing. You see what I'm saying? They really only went after him, and they pretty much accepted the fact that they'll let anybody else testify against him and had no co-conspirators in a case like this. You can't have a case like this, have no conspirators and then no co-conspirators and then call it a RICO. Not that clearly you can do it on paper, but it doesn't look good when you actually try the case. So that's why they failed. So now they only got the Mann Act and they failed, and Diddy will be home. He does not have to, from what I've seen of the sentence, they didn't even announce any type of probation, right? They didn't seize any of his assets. He only has to pay, I'm saying only, this is relative to his wealth. He only has to pay $500,000 in restitution, right? A little $5,000 fine. I think he had to forfeit $5,000, something like that. So it's really like this is a win for a person that was in a position like his. Nobody wants to go to prison for even a day, right? But if you have been facing these type of charges and you know the type of history and things that Diddy been accused of that wasn't even in this case, we talking about they didn't accuse Diddy of murders, a lot of them for the last 30 years. They didn't accuse Diddy of car bombings, fires, hanging people off of balconies. They didn't accuse Diddy of a lot of heinous crimes that can get you, those crimes alone can get you 10 years plus in prison. So the fact that the feds threw everything they had at him, they raided multiple houses, took every file that they could find, came up with this case and were only able to get him sentenced to 50 months in prison. And that's after he served 12 months already. That's a win for him. Yeah, I see Nick. Let me read some of these comments. I see Nick said he thought he was walking. Diddy thought he was walking because of arrogance. But if you just knowing a little bit about the law, he was never getting out of there. There's no way he was getting out of there on the same day. This is what, remember Diddy's first original lawyer dropped off his case. And people assumed that he dropped off the case because more evidence was coming out. And they thought, okay, this lawyer must have dropped the case because he said, this is too nasty. I don't want to defend it. What I think happened, I think the lawyer was trying to give Diddy realistic outcomes. I think he was trying to tell Diddy, there's no way you're going to beat all of these charges and come home immediately. You're going to have to do some prison time. I think the lawyer was telling him that. And I think Diddy flipped out on him. And the dude said, you know what? I'm dropping you as a client. Let me go. Right. I think when he hires Brian Steele and the people that come with Brian Steele is way more of a salesman. Right. Brian Steele is going to take the case. And of course, Brian Steele kind of spanked the case because the real case was the RICO and the racketeering and the conspiracy. So he got rid of the biggest stuff, right? Brian still did what he had to do. But I think he was a salesman when it comes to telling Diddy he was coming home immediately. That's where the salesman part come in, because I think that's what Diddy wanted to hear. I think Diddy wanted to hear, I'll be home to my kids immediately upon sentencing. You see what I'm saying? So I think he was told that. I think Brian Steele got his millions of dollars to represent Diddy for the last year and a half, right? Or year, matter of fact. And, or maybe a year and a half, whatever it was. He got his money. Diddy still got to go to prison, but it's far less time than he was facing, right? Let me read some of these comments. Vanderbilt said, I'm proud of you telling your story and saving others. I appreciate that. Meech said, bro, you know they had to charge him with something. Of course, he had to. What's going on, Juice? Van said, I thought 5 from the beginning. Yep. A lot of us was looking at that five-year range. Vance said they pulled his phone calls. I heard that's how he knew about the bookings. Oh, okay. So the booking thing was probably real, but Brian still tried to say it was a booking, but it was a healing event. It wasn't a speaking engagement. Either way, it's arrogant. It's cocky. You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't have let it come out. Diddy need to sit down for a while. I don't agree on the Tory case. Nick said, we're going to come back to what you just said, man. Nick said he thought he was walking though. Yes, that's true. Van said they claim his health is declining rapidly. Juice, the judge mentioned in hearing the victims and wanting that to reflect on his sentence, but it's kind of a slap in their face and give him that sentence. Right. People said it was dark energy around the case. It go with his spiritual practices. Yeah. What I'll say about the Tory thing is this. The most damaging thing about the Tory case is that phone call he made from jail. You know how when they say you get in a car accident, don't apologize? That's what Tory did. He screwed himself. And then witnesses was changing their stories and all that. Then there's people coming out talking about Tory is paying people to say different things. So it just looked bad. It was bad. And then Tory was taunting the witness. You cannot taunt the witness. You definitely can't, not the witness, the victim. You cannot taunt the victim, and you can't have rumors that you are paying witnesses. You just can't do that. Right? Tory was arrogant. He thought he could. I don't know who he thought he was during that case. Diddy was a little bit more, little less, messing and tampering with victims and stuff like that. But Cassie tried to do everything she could to make sure he did not get out right now. She was writing letters. She made sure she was on top of it, stayed in contact with the prosecution, made sure the judge heard her, make sure the public heard statements from her lawyer. They wanted to paint the picture that Diddy was intimidating and that if he came home, he would be a threat to people. If he came home immediately, he would be a threat to people. My whole thing is with a person like Diddy and the amount of years that he's been doing this and the amount of things surrounding his name, for a judge, it would be irresponsible to have let him leave today. Right. And I don't like people going to prison at all, but it wouldn't have made sense to let a person with that type of access, resources and history leave today, because that paints the picture that you're untouchable, and he would have probably recidivated. If not recidivated, he would have probably kept on doing it, whether he got locked up again or not. Right. A person like that needs to know that there's real consequences for their actions. If you do a year, put it like this, Young Thug, right? A lot of y'all was following me because y'all was following the YSL case. Young Thug essentially is facing life in prison. He gets his conviction, a plea deal, and then he comes home the day of sentencing. Right? When he comes home, his behavior looks like that of a person who has not learned his lesson. And a lot of people are telling him, Thug, why are you still engaging in some of the same stuff? Why are you still talking about some of the same stuff? Why are you still engaging with the same people? Why are you affiliated with any of this stuff that's going on still? Because that's how people feel when they face in life. And then they end up essentially getting nothing. Right? They come home. Excuse me. It's kind of like they stop seeing consequences as things that can be associated with them, right? They don't see consequences. That's for everybody else. That's not for me, right? So Diddy is getting a consequence. It's not a harsh consequence. I'm sure the victims are not happy at all, but it might be enough time that he could come home and not continue doing that type of behavior, right? He's 50 plus years old. Don't nobody want to sit down for no 3-4 years at 50 years old. So hopefully he can get his mind together with this whole thing. Let's see here. Juice said the judge. Oh, okay. I read that. Yep. Vance said no DNA or prints that belong to him. Yeah, it was inconclusive. Juice said, what was the controversy with Mia and them saying he had distasteful messaging in his letter? Mia, who is Mia? What you mean? Controversy with me? I'm not familiar with that. Distasteful messaging in his letter? I think they was trying to say that Diddy was kind of trying to, he was trying to minimize what he actually did and make it seem like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was bad, but I'm rehabilitated already. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Even though everybody was a willing participant, I get it. I'm convicted. Now let me go. You know what I'm saying? They kind of looked at it like it was minimizing. From what I heard them saying, I didn't read the whole letter, but I heard them talking about it on Law and Crime earlier today. And they were saying that Diddy's letter could come off a little bit as tone deaf. Nick Tass said the judge kept bringing up domestic violence, but he wasn't even charged with domestic violence. The prosecution could have charged him with that a lot more. That's true. So if the judge is bringing up domestic violence, because that's one of the things is that they're really bringing up, even though he wasn't charged with domestic violence, they are talking about patterns with him. If they're saying he's a danger, because this is about sentencing. So if this is about the patterns of the person, then if he's somebody with this type of history, he could be a danger if we let him out right now. So that's why they kind of start bringing up things that you have been around, associated with, or that we know that you did. Whether you were convicted of it or not, if we have proof that you did it, then we can bring it up during sentencing, or we can bring it up during different times in a trial, because not saying we as in me, but like a judge or a prosecution or people like that, because they have to look at the totality of victim safety and what you might do when you get out. Right. Yeah, they wouldn't have charged him with it, but they still have to use it. They still have to discuss it when it comes to how they view the person, the character of the person. Drew said during the sentencing, they said Mia wasn't going to speak today based off of what Diddy team said in their letter. I don't know. I didn't see that quote. I didn't see that. If you send that to me, I'll read it. If you send that to me, I'll read it. Let me see. My bad, y'all. Let's just go ahead and look at this article here. Let's check this article out. See what they say. I might have missed. I was watching Law and Crime, like the whole, just trying to catch the verdict today, but I could have missed something though. All right. Judge sentences Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years and 2 months in prison, citing history of abusing women. So you see what this is what I mean about during sentencing. It's not just about what you've been convicted of. Now we're looking at, so you already been convicted. That's we ain't debating that. Now we're looking at you as a person and seeing, are you or will you be a danger to more victims, right? So that's why they got to bring that up. Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced Friday to 4 years and 2 months in prison in a case involving sex workers, violence, and freak-offs. The judge said a lengthy sentence was needed for deterrence, and that he was unconvinced that if Combs is released, these crimes won't happen again. And that's really what it boils down to. Let me make this bigger. Y'all don't really need to see me like that. Combs, 55, was convicted in July of flying people across state lines for drug-fueled marathon sexual encounters. Jurors acquitted him of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges that could have carried a life sentence. All right. What to know? Combs sentenced under the Mann Act. The Mann Act makes it illegal to transport someone across state lines for the purpose of prostitution or other illegal sex acts. Combs was convicted of counts involving two former girlfriends, the R&B singer Cassie and the woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane. Combs, oh, by the way, Gina actually wrote a witness impact letter also, but it was in support of Diddy. Now, Jane Doe was Daphne, right? But in the indictment, there was another person called Victim 3, and that was Gina. And Gina wrote a letter supporting Diddy, pretty much saying that I'm not a victim. I told the prosecution I wasn't a victim, so they decided not to call me for the trial. They didn't want to let me testify because I would have told them that they are off base with what they're accusing him of, right? So she was supporting Diddy. Young Miami supported Diddy in a letter. So these would have helped Diddy, but the judge still wasn't, he wasn't just going to let him go home. Combs apologized to judge for his disgusting, shameful behavior. Speaking at the hearing, Combs apologized and called his past behavior disgusting, shameful, and sick. The hip-hop mogul told the judge Friday that his domestic violence is a burden that he would have to carry for the rest of his life. Prosecutors had sought an 11-year sentence. Prosecutor Christy Slavic told the judge that sparing Combs serious prison time would excuse years of violence. Key witness in the trial also urged the judge to reject leniency for the hip-hop mogul, stating that they would fear for their safety if he were freed. The sentencing brings mixed emotions to court observer. Sade Best, a Combs fan from Brooklyn, left the overflow room looking both sad and relieved. It's devastating to see a pioneer of the black community's legacy nearly diminished, she said. But the judge showed mercy by giving him a second chance while still honoring the victims. All right, he's not a pioneer in the black community. I don't know what what that's about. Let me see here. All right, this just I appreciate that message. Let me read here. I just got the update. Let me see here. What does this say here? U.S. versus Combs sentencing. U.S. says he set up speaking gigs in Miami next week. Mia won't testify due to bullying. Combs' children speak Westmoreland sobs on Icon, Dylan Jordan. Diddy's ex-assistant Mia won't speak at his sentencing today after all. This is after opposition from Diddy's lawyers that prosecutors called offensive, unprofessional, and on its face nothing more than a blatant attempt to smear a victim. I wasn't hip to that. I wasn't hip to that. I appreciate that. So Mia was about to come through and say something wild, probably about Cassie, right? But I don't, like I said, I think that everybody had to get their letters in and all this type of stuff, but I don't think the letters would have had much impact on this outcome, honestly. I think the case itself and the details of the case is what had all the impact on the sentencing. The judge knew he had to give Diddy some prison sentence, but he knew that what he was actually convicted of did not warrant any extensive, overly harsh prison sentence, right? So he knew he had to do some time, but he knew he couldn't do nothing. You know, it couldn't go too crazy. Cassie's lawyer praises her courage. While nothing can undo the trauma caused by Combs, the sentence imposed today recognizes the impact of the serious offenses he committed. Attorney Douglas Wigder said in a statement, "We are confident that with the support of her family and friends, Miss Ventura will continue healing, knowing that her bravery and fortitude have been an inspiration to so many." Okay. Now, this is, okay, so, wait. Combs also faces a fine and conditions after his prison time. Wait, what? The judge also imposed a $500,000 fine and ordered 5 years of supervised release after he... Why is this? Man, hold up. Let me see. Okay. Okay, after he leaves prison. Oh, so he did get 5 years of probation. Okay. All right, so if you go back also, well, I made the video private where I did my predictions on Diddy thing, but I'll make it public again. Y'all can go look at it. What I originally said was 5 years prison time, 5 years probation. So y'all go look back at that. That was my original prediction, and then I changed it after looking at the judge to say 4 years in prison. Combs can appeal his convictions, of course, and his lawyers have said they will. They have 14 days to file the notice. Now, here's the thing also about this case, right? Because Diddy got 4 years, he already served one of it, right? He'll do another like a little over 2 years in prison. Most of his time that he has in prison, they'll be fighting the conviction and they'll be fighting the sentence. So this time is really, not to say it's going to fly by, but he's going to have activity going on in his case the entire time. By the time he's finished exhausting all of his appeal resolutions and stuff like that, it'll be time for him to come home. So really, he's about to pass his time doing that. Just think about it. That's how, like, a lot of people that don't take plea deals and stuff like that, and they have money to keep on fighting. It takes them years to really get the fight fully going. So Diddy he'll be coming home by the time his fights are completed. Combs seems dejected by his sentence, apologizes again to his family. Combs showed no. They were so mad after the sentence was given that none of the legal defense gave any statements. Also, the whole family also walked out and went straight to their vehicles. They didn't give any statements either. So Combs showed no visible change of emotion as he learned his sentence, sitting in his chair and looking straight ahead as the judge spoke. He remained subdued afterward and appeared dejected, with none of the enthusiasm and smiles that accompany his interactions with lawyers and his family earlier in the day. He also appeared somewhat worn out from a long day of sentencing arguments that seemed to drain him as time passed. Throughout his trial and earlier in the day, he gave numerous gestures of encouragement to his family, including pat to his heart, a blown kiss to his mother, and a thumbs up. But after he learned that he would spend over 4 years in prison, he turned to his mother and children among spectators and let out a sigh before telling them, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The court is adjourned after a final admonition from the judge. We all have voices, but you have a megaphone, the judge told Combs, saying he has a chance to show the world what real accountability and change can be. I'm counting on you to make the most of your second chance, the judge said. Combs stood, adjusted his sweater, turned briefly to the gallery, and then sat back down at the defense table. Okay, so this is going backwards through the timeline. All right, so let me read the comments. Let me see what y'all talking about. Let's see what y'all are getting into. Domestic violence. Van said she said she was attacked because of the lawyer's letter. Oh, so that's what they mean by the bullying thing. What's going on, Drink Milk? Van said, I don't even think Diddy worried about Cassie. I think Diddy would be mad at the ones who dismissed him as a friend. Gia interview about Diddy was horrific. If Diddy was on her bad side, he would have been in trouble. Drink Milk, exactly. Van said, if I was Cassie, I wouldn't have wrote a letter. I would have moved and went on with my new life. Even if the judge said 10 years, he still has a release date in the end. That's true. Ever since the verdict came down, everybody knew that Diddy was coming home, right? The verdict came down, that let it be known Diddy is coming out. No matter if he came out in 10 years or 5 years, he was coming home. And we knew that they were not going to run those sentences consecutively, right? So he was coming home in less than 10 years, no matter how it was sliced. Drink Milk said, true. Well, it could have been worse. It definitely could have been way worse. I would have thought the defense would be happy. That was his best he could get with his behavior. I think the defense is happy, but I don't think that, because like I said, Brian Steele went in salesman mode. Brian Steele was telling that man he was coming home as soon as he got sentenced. So he kind of couldn't act happy for real. You see what I'm saying? He couldn't act happy, but the lawyers, I know all of the lawyers know that they won crazy, but Diddy being a billionaire and Diddy being a little bit delusional about what he did and how he victimized people. Like, cause you can kind of still tell that Diddy don't really get why he's in trouble like that. Like, you could tell this is why the judge said, I think you was going to do it again if I let you out. Right. You can kind of tell that Diddy's not really learned his lesson. You see what I'm saying? He grew up, he didn't learn his lesson. Right. So the lawyers have to like share his sentiment for right now. But I'm sure when they go back in their back rooms and their back offices and stuff and had the conversations within them, they're going to be saying like, yo, Brian Steele is the GOAT. Brian Steele is the GOAT. Nicole Westmoreland is the GOAT. That legal team was amazing. They came through, got life off the table, and got him less than 5 years in prison. He already did a year. He'll be home in 3, right? And then he's coming home to his money. They didn't take anything from him. Think about this. You know how much money you have to have for somebody to sue you for $30 million and you settle with them the next day for 20? Like, you have 20 million cash. You got that in the bank. You have to be extremely rich to have 20 million sitting. A lot of the people that like have net worths of that much money don't actually have that much liquid cash. You see what I'm saying? Like, so to have that much liquid in the midst of everything else going on, and you was able to cut that check in a day, Diddy is well off. He's up. Like, he has paid the biggest check that he's going to have to pay. Cassie had the biggest claim to any money from Diddy. Other people might sue, but their claims will be a lot smaller. Diddy has long money. He has more than enough money to pay every single other victim $1 million to get them out the way and then go off and live his life. The prison is the hardest thing here, right? The lawsuits, it is what it is. He's going to have to pay. But the biggest check definitely was going to Cassie. Nobody else has a check coming to them in that way. And then sometimes some of these people, like the people that are like, yo, I worked in the studio and he said something to me one time and I was offended. Some of these people are going to lose their cases against him, right? People like maybe Daphne could come back and sue him now because he was actually convicted of the Mann Act against her. So maybe she come through, get her a little lawsuit or whatever. She probably get $1 million or $2 million, something like that. But the rest of those people probably won't get a dime. Diddy's going to come home, be a billionaire still, if not a billionaire, 500 millionaire. And he don't ever have to do anything else, right? But now when he does come home, you got 5 years supervised release, but it's federal probation, right? So he's dealing with he'll have to deal with things like, please hit the like button. He got to deal with things like travel restrictions, But because it's the feds, they have people everywhere. He probably can move around from his LA house to his Miami house to his New York house and be okay, right? He probably just can't go out the country too much. And that's if they restrict him from going out the country. They might not care. He might get a probation officer that's a huge fan and let him do whatever he want to do. I think what Diddy is going to struggle with is staying off of drugs for those 5 years. And I think he's going to struggle with certain partnerships and business. Because remember, this whole thing with Cassie and this whole lawsuit and all this type of stuff, the criminal case and everything, is coming off the heels of the Diageo issues. Diddy losing Ciroc and De Leon to Diageo, taking it back, saying, we don't want to work with you no more. Get up out of here, right? So his major source of income for the last 10 years, for the last like almost 15 years, have been Ciroc and Ciroc sales, right? Him losing that means like now, okay, the largest source of income is different now, right? So he still has all the money he made, but the income is not the same as it was before. So he got to change his lifestyle a little bit, but he will still be extremely rich when he comes home. Like I said, he cut a $20 to $30 million check in a day. There's companies that won't cut a check that fast, right? Insurance companies won't cut. They would fight that. So he came up off of that, gave Cassie that money and thought it was over with. Let me read some of these comments. Drink milk. 4 years is a win compared to what he was facing. Facts. Right. How did Brian conclude he was walking today? I knew that. I don't think Brian concluded. I think he just was telling Diddy that because he was being a salesman. He had to let him know something. Van said, it's normal life for Diddy. It's just not normal for us that's not in the mix. Drink milk said, right, exactly. Van, Diddy shouldn't have settled that case. I don't think she would have got $20 million after this case. No, Diddy did the right thing with Cassie. I think he did the right thing with Cassie. He knew because this is the thing about it. Diddy knows things that we didn't know about him and Cassie's relationship, right? So it's not even whatever it was that made him pay her immediately was about something that only them two know. If Diddy had a real fight, he would have put it up. He would have put a fight up. He settled in 24 hours. That should tell you if he went to court with that, she probably would have got more than $30 million, right? So I think that he did what was best for what him and her know about their situation, right? So I disagree with that he shouldn't have settled that case. He did what he had to do, right? And that might have ended up, I think it's better to get your payments and stuff out the way before you are found criminally guilty. Because let's just say he went and got found criminally guilty. And now there's like hard proof beyond a reasonable doubt that you committed these crimes against me. Now, when I come to sue you, my numbers can be much more large. My numbers can be even larger now because now the court's already determined that you were guilty, right? So it's a whole different ballgame. He still ended up in court for selling it. Well, he ended up in court for the criminal side of it. We know the criminal is always separate from the civil, and NDAs and confidentiality agreements you can never avoid criminal stuff with NDAs and stuff like that and settlements, right? So I think it was better for him to do it before this criminal case. But that's beside the point. I do think the biggest pieces of it are behind him now, right? The worst of it is behind him. You gotta sit down, do your time and all that, right? Sit down, do your time. And when you come out, stay off of drugs so you don't recidivate and deal with women that want to deal with you and don't force them to do nothing and don't hit them if you don't, you know what I mean? Like just some of the stuff that if it wasn't known that he was hitting some people or being violent to some people, it wouldn't have looked like he was doing it to everybody. But because it looks like you're doing it to Cassie and these other lady, Daphne also, it looks like this is what you do to women, period. You see what I'm saying? So even though they say it never happened in Young Miami, people were still assuming that, hey, it just didn't happen to Miami yet. It was going to happen eventually. That's what people were saying. You know what I'm saying? That was what the word was a lot. So yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a lot of rumors that he beat Kim for years, choking her till she was damn near unconscious, all type of stuff. So you definitely, you're gonna have to find a way to stop yourself from doing this to the people that you have relationships with, right? Um, this is another thing I said back in July that I want to reiterate. It seems to me that all of the people that Diddy was partying with, having fun with, doing all that, all his friends in the industry, they all knew he was a freak. They all knew all of the stuff he was doing because they was at the parties seeing him do it. It's only us, the fans, that didn't know what he had going on, right? They all in the industry knew, and they all still supported him. So when he comes out, pretty much all of his friends will still look at him the same way because they already knew all this stuff about him. They didn't find out anything new about Diddy. It's only the fans. So he will still have all of his connections, all his resources, all his friends in business, all his friends in the music industry. It'll all be the same for him when he comes home. Only difference is now he has a conviction under his belt, a federal conviction under his belt. That's the only difference. I will say that if Diddy really wanted to show that he's changed and that he wants to really support women that are in these type of situations, he put that money up. And I know he's doing a free game course in jail and all that. The focus should be around helping women who've been trafficked, right? Or battered women type of thing. You know what I'm saying? You open up a couple of those shelters around the country for battered women, stuff like that. And you really put your money where your mouth is at on that. Because it can't just be you make a bunch of promises before sentencing, then you get sentenced, now you're mad at everybody, and you say F it and don't do anything at all for the community. Because now it looked fake, and now it looks like you might go back and do this stuff again, right? It looked like you was faking just to try to get yourself out of jail that day, and really you didn't mean any of it, right? So when you get out, after you do your 4 years, when you get out, you still got to do this stuff that you said you was going to do, right? Because you still have the chance to do that. You know what I'm saying? You still got off light. These people said you was car bombing people. You was lighting people's cars on fire and having your friends killed, and people think you did something to Kim Porter, and people think, you understand what I'm saying? So you can't, you won. You won to get 4 years out of all of this time. Look at people like Suge Knight. Suge Knight got away for a while, and then he did some prison time, and then he got out, and then he ended up killing somebody with a car, and now he on a long ride right now. A lot of the people that was around when you was around are dead or in jail. Now, I'm saying you as in Diddy. You see what I'm saying? Another freaked out old head, R. Kelly. You could have been in the same type of situation as R. Kelly, but fortunately the stuff you was doing wasn't with kids, and it didn't involve really like taking people from their family and stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? It could have been a lot worse for Diddy. So you really got to still come home and really still do some work in the community. It can't just be you mad at everybody now and you're not doing anything. Juice said, I wonder what J-Lo saw that made her leave him. Yeah, ain't no telling. Van said he beat that girl at the school as well. I think I heard about that, but I don't remember the details of it. Drink Milk said, I knew going civil could result in criminal, even if they agreed not to file charges. Why didn't the attorney tell him? Yeah. Well, here's the thing about that, right? I don't think anybody could have warned him about anything because Cassie is the one that played that thing perfectly. This is what I thought. I felt like somebody gave Cassie some of those videotapes that somebody gave Cassie the proof, like the hard proof that she needed to really press Diddy for a payday, right? She pressed Diddy for the payday. She filed her lawsuit, let Diddy know, hey, I'm describing this stuff in detail, and I have the proof, right? So Diddy pays her a day later. Then I think Cassie turned over the proof to the feds. So pretty much what I'm saying is, once Cassie decided she was going to press the issue, there was nothing Diddy could have done anyway. It didn't matter. She was pressing the issue. She played it perfectly. For a person in her position, Cassie played it exactly the way you should play it, right? Because don't people always say, yo, if this person really did this to you, why didn't you go to the police? Well, she did. And she got Diddy put in federal prison. So people will try to make it seem like a victim is lying if they don't go to the police about a situation. Well, guess what? Cassie got her money and went to the police. Now are they going to say she's lying? They can't say she's lying, right? So she did it. She played it perfectly. Diddy was stuck. Once Cassie decided she was going to press this issue, there was absolutely nothing that Diddy could do. I believe somebody on Diddy's side gave her tapes. I think they gave her recordings and stuff like that. She handed it over to the feds after she got paid, And that's what kicked off the feds raiding his multiple properties. That's what I think happened. You understand? So there was nothing that he was going to be able to do. Right? Wait, what did it say here? Van said, the baby spoke about being at a Diddy party and Diddy kicked people out, but Jay and Beyonce stayed. I forgot the rest of the story, but the baby ain't look right. That's crazy. People have been talking about these parties for a long time, though. Like, even way before this case was around, they would be talking about how, you know what I'm saying, how they would be at the party and some, at that cutoff time, like, oh, we leaving the party now and everybody else stayed type of thing. That been a thing for a long time. Even Cat Williams with the famous joke, but it wasn't about Diddy. I think Cat Williams' joke was about Dr. Dre? It was about some of them West Coast dudes. I can't remember exactly what it was, but Cat Williams had the most famous joke about it. Now, thank y'all for tuning into that segment right there. Now, all right, so my recording just got cut off because I ran out of space on the track. How long I've been on here? 46 minutes. All right, so Cassie had videos in her cell phone. Cassie was calling Diddy for a while, asking for payment or the booking coming. She didn't file a lawsuit right away. That's why Diddy should have paid at that time. Yeah, that's true. That Cassie supposedly had been hitting Diddy up for like a year asking him for that money, right? She been hitting him up for a long time, pretty much telling him, hey, look, if you don't pay me, I'm going to make it bad for you. And Diddy thought she was bluffing, right? So Diddy thought she was bluffing for a long time, and eventually she pressed him. Now, I believe, like Cassie said, like you said that Cassie had the videos in her cell phone, right? But that doesn't mean that she had them from the time that they first happened, right? I think somebody sent them to her. And that's what she used as her ammo to press Diddy. He just thought she was bluffing, though, right? And it just didn't work like that. Okay. So now let's real quick, though. Thank y'all for engaging with that. But I wanted to talk briefly before I got up off of here about this Cardi and Nicki stuff, right? Cardi and Nicki. Anybody, y'all talked about that? Are y'all hip to what's going on with Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj? This is a complete shit show at this point. But are y'all hip to it? Cardi B versus Nicki Minaj. Now, this is a rap beef, right? This is a rap beef, but it spilled over into non-rap beef territory, right? Now it's a real life beef. I guess it's been a real life beef for a while, but it's really a real life beef now. It's not, not much of a about rap anymore. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of where people, where did this beef start? Why are they beefing type of thing, right? The song Motorsport. The Migos have a song, Motorsport. Migos, the biggest group in the world at the time. Migos big as hell, bigger than Cardi B at that time. They were huge. Cardi B was brand new. Nicki is a legend. She's up here by herself, right? To supposedly, so Offset is messing with Cardi at this time. This is very early, 2017. And this is late 2017. But this is after Bodak Yellow, but before Cardi's album, right? Nicki is huge, though. Everybody knows about Cardi at this time. The fans are speculating, why is Nicki not reaching out to Cardi, getting on the Bodak Yellow remix? Why is Nicki not jumping on songs with Cardi yet? What's going on? So they're like, oh, Nicki hating. This is brewing, right? The fans are saying this about 2017. Migos put together this Motorsport song. They say, okay, because Quavo was allegedly dealing with Nicki at the time, let's put y'all on a song together. Y'all get on our song together, and it's gonna be a hit, right? So everybody do their verses, but they're not in the studio together, but they all do their verses. Cardi hears Nicki's verse. Nicki, one of her lines says, Cardi the QB, I'm Nick Lombardi, right? Insinuating that she's the player, I'm the coach, I'm teaching her everything she know type of thing, right? Cardi B does not like that. She goes off, she say, Nicki need to change that effing verse. I'm not going for it. She need to change it. That B need to change the verse. They, you know what I'm saying? So this is Cardi telling this to the Migos. The Migos, now Quavo has to go back and tell Nicki, hey, can you just look out for me, change the verse? Now, this is Nicki is huge. Nicki's a superstar at that point. Nicki's bigger than all of these people. Legend at this point. Ran the game for almost a decade at that point. She didn't have to change nothing. She could have said, oh, she want me to change my verse? I was showing love. I ain't have to put her name in my song at all, in my verse at all. but y'all telling me to change the verse. All right, take me off of it, and I ain't clearing nothing with me. I ain't working with y'all now. She could have done that. She didn't do it. Nicki goes back in the booth, changed the line to Quavo to QB. I'm Nick Lombardi, right? Most legends wouldn't do that, but she did it because she was trying to piece it up. Like this is peace, is love. I ain't trying to beef with that little girl. This is cool, right? But Nicki still felt like Cardi was taking shots at her in interviews and stuff like that, and she thought that she was big dogging her, like, yo, you still a little girl to me. Why are you talking crazy? You should be respecting me. I paved the way for you, right? Nicki felt like that. Time goes on, they see each other at the Met Gala, the attempt to fight, that whole thing happened, and then from there, it's all bad, right? So now we fast forward to Cardi B drops her album. Cardi B drops her album this year. What's going on, Cactus Jen? I appreciate it. Cardi B drops her album a couple weeks ago, right? Am I the Drama? Solid album, good album, does good numbers. It's platinum in a day because it has the song Up on it and it got WAP on it, right? WAP is a 5-year-old song. Up is like a 2-3-year-old song, right? So the album is platinum in a day, right? But they still do first week numbers, right? The first week numbers, I think what they said, it came back at 199,000, which is an amazing first week. But it was lower than Nicki's last album, right? Nicki's last album did 225 or 228, something like that, right? So in the midst of Cardi B's first week, Nicki tweets out a date, like whatever, March 27, 2026, something like that, right? Insinuating that Nicki has an album coming out in March, right? So it looks like, she's trying to step on Cardi's first week and roll out and all this type of stuff, right? That's the first thing to happen. And then after, I guess, when the first week numbers had came out, then Nicki kind of started clowning like, yo, she couldn't outsell me, right? You couldn't outsell me. And that kicked everything off that we seen the last few days, right? She can't outsell me. So they start going back and forth like Cardi. Now, this is why I felt like Cardi kind of did a little cop out, right? Cardi did a little cop out where she said like, yo, Nicki, why are you comparing yourself to me? You've been around 16 years. I was in high school when you came out. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to me. You should be comparing yourself to Drake and Rihanna and Taylor Swift and all this type of stuff. I'm not your peer. Now, that's a cop-out. That's a weak cop-out too, by the way, because you have been comparing yourself to Nicki and talking numbers with Nicki and talking about your awards with Nicki for the last 7-8 years. So now you can't back out and cop out now that Nicki is acknowledging you as you didn't sell what she sold, right? That's not cool. Now, I do agree that Nicki should have looked at you like that from the beginning. You're not her peer. Y'all should have never been compared. But that ship has sailed a long time ago. Y'all are peers now. As far as career numbers wise, y'all are peers. Nicki just been doing it longer. But y'all are peers. Don't try that weak cop out, right? Because if you would have sold more than her, you would have been on there talking shit yourself. So that's the thing. Like, I'm erasing that. That whole cop out, we not peers thing is dead. Now, where it went left is that Nicki started to say something about culture. It wasn't at first, it wasn't a diss. It was just she put culture's name in a tweet, right? So Cardi said, don't say nothing about my kid again, or she said, you want to talk about ABCs, you know what I mean? Don't say nothing about my kid no more. We're going to really get into it. I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. So then from there, it devolves and, you know what I'm saying, when they say when you go low, go to hell type of thing, they went to hell. Now it started saying culture, Nicki started saying culture's ugly. And Cardi started saying Papa Bear's slow, right? He's nonverbal, he's slow. So then that's where I like kind of, now I'm like, this is weak. To me, I feel like these lady artists, these women rappers, they have been able to do this and talk crazy this whole time, like for all these years, because they haven't really seen real consequences, right? I don't like that. I don't like that they think that everything is just going to stay. We're just going to argue. We're never going to see each other. At most, if we do see each other, we're going to fight. Because on the men's side, it's like if they go there with it, people bodies start dropping. And I just feel like we going to have to need to see that on the women's side. You're going to have to start seeing bodies drop because they not taking some of the stuff that they doing and saying serious enough, right? They love to talk about gang affiliations and all that. They love to talk about street stuff all the time. They love to disrespect people at the highest level, talking about people's dead family, talking about people's kids, all this type of stuff. But then when it comes to stuff like this, they just think they think they untouchable like that. And I don't like that. Real consequences need to be in place for the lady rappers too that want to talk street stuff, because if they don't have real consequences, they are going to assume that they can continue doing this and talking like this. I'm talking about on both sides. Nicki and Cardi have gone way too far multiple times, right? And when I say way too far, I mean you bringing up like when people said that the Drake and the Kendrick thing, there's no rules. They were talking about I still look at that like they was talking about each other, right? They was taking shots at each other. They wasn't saying nothing directly about the kid. At most, it might have insinuated something about one of the girls that dude's messing with, but it wasn't like, it was really directed at each other, right? This is like when Nicki's mentioning Megan's mom, or when Nicki mentioning Culture being ugly, or Cardi mentioning Papa Bear being slow and stuff like that. I don't even mind Cardi talking about Nicki's brother being a pedophile. I feel like that's fair game to me. I think that's fair game. You could say that, right? Because he has been convicted of that. So I think that's fair. But the kid thing, I won't. To me, that's where it's like I'm not. It's time to get violent now. Let's get violent. You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going tit for tat about kids with you. You see what I'm saying? Like if had Nicki, because according to what Cardi is saying, she started talking about Papa Bear. I'm calling him Papa Bear because I don't know his name. That's what Nicki be calling him. But with Nicki saying that Culture was ugly, me, because of my character, that won't make me say Papa Bear's slow or Papa Bear's ugly. I wouldn't say nothing back about Papa Bear. I might stop tweeting. I might deactivate my page after that. Because now it's like, okay, Nicki says she in New York. We got to call around the city to figure out where she's at. I'm not going child for child with you. You see, child insult for child insult. That's not where I go. That's your character. That's a character thing, right? Because you didn't say something about Papa Bear because Nicki said something about Culture. You said something about Papa Bear because you knew something about Papa Bear and been wanting to say it anyway. You was just looking for a reason to say it. So then it had nothing to do. If she would have said something that was too far, you was going there anyway. That's the reason why you compiled the dirt that you compiled on him, on her son. Just like Nicki, you didn't say that Culture was ugly. You didn't say Culture was ugly because Cardi said something you didn't like. You said Culture was ugly because you wanted to say that about that child. You already wanted to say that, right? First of all, nobody was even talking about kids or what they looked like. You came out of nowhere calling Culture a monkey and a roach because Cardi called some people that before, which you could have made your point about the disgusting stuff Cardi said without doing that. You did that because that's what you wanted to do. That's your character. Your character says, I'm going to call a kid a roach and a monkey, just like her character called a dead baby a monkey. Cardi called a dead child a monkey before. You know what I'm saying? Called a black woman a roach. That's her character. She called Papa Bear slow. That's y'all character. Y'all got nasty characters. You see what I'm saying? Y'all think that y'all think y'all are above reproach, so y'all think y'all could do and say anything. You see what I'm saying? Van said Nicki keep tagging the president, CIA, and FBI. Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, she has been doing that for a minute too. In the midst of all of this, also Nicki is also attacking Jay-Z, Desiree, all of Roc Nation, all of the managers she used to work with. So she never let up on Roc Nation. She's still on their head, and she's not letting up. Juice said facts. You can't say talking about kid is wrong, but then talk about someone else's kid. Facts. I don't like, if I think something is wrong, I think it's wrong whether it's wrong if I do it too. So I'm not going to do the thing I think is wrong. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not about to say nothing about your kid because you said something about mine. I'm going to find you though. You see this? I'm going to take it to where I'm going to take it. I don't have no smoke for your kid at all. I don't have nothing to say about you. I wouldn't even have known Papa Bear was slow because I was never doing dirt to find out nothing about Papa Bear. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like fan bases. These fan bases enable this type of behavior, but I don't care if the fan bases enable it. It's up to you as the artist, as the adult, to not do this bullshit. And these people doing it, I need real consequences. I need to see it. Losing brand deals and sponsorships and partnerships and all that, that's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are super rich. So losing a couple dollars is not enough. That's not enough of a consequence to me. You understand what I'm saying? I need this to end like Pac and Biggie, for real. And I think if only one of these people gets hurt, younger women artists will not learn the lesson that they need to learn. Whatever happens, got to happen to both of them. You see what I'm saying? I'm not advocating for violence. I'm advocating for the exile of this type of behavior in music in the culture, right? You can't have this type of behavior. Sometimes you got to cut off the cancer. If you cut a cancer off and you put it in that petri, you put it in that little silver bowl next to the surgery table, it's going to die in that bowl, right? That's what we got to do. You have to cut it off and let it go die in that bowl. You understand what I'm saying? Those cells will die without a host. You understand? So I that's what I think need to happen. I don't care. I think it need to happen. It got to happen to both of them, because you can't have one side thinking that they came out on top. Nobody needs to come out on top of this. Both need to go down and out completely. There's too many other, and just the thing, this has trickled into so many other things. Cardi's beefing with Bia. Cardi beefing with JT. Her beef with Ice Spice. It was all about their affiliations with Nicki Minaj. Right? So now I got to beef with everybody that like you, and you got to, like, that don't even make no sense. So everything has been divided because who likes who and who is weak. Now, I do like that. Now, so Bia was dissed on Cardi's album. Now, Cardi dropped her album, and it was a hard diss. Now, she dissed the shit out of Bia. But Bia actually dropped the album today called 10 out of 10. Because the whole thing was, you can't name 5 Bia songs, that whole thing, right? So Bia is from the Boston area. If y'all don't know who Bia is, she's a rapper from the Boston area. I like her. I think Bia is pretty good, but a lot of people don't know her music, don't really like her like that, right? But anyway, Bia dropped the album today. That's her response to what Cardi got going on, right? She's not gonna do the Twitter back and forth thing. She dropped music. I appreciate that. Cardi B was dissed on a song called Magnet. Cardi B got hit. I mean, I said Cardi B. JT was dissed on a song called Magnet by Cardi B, right? I thought Magnet was hard, and I thought the verse, the second verse that was dissing JT, I thought it was fire. JT was hit, man down, right? So before she started making music, she started tweeting. She eventually was tweeting and dissing Cardi in tweets. Yesterday evening, though, she dropped 2 diss songs. One of them was like 4 minutes. One of them was unfinished at like 2.5 minutes. The one that's unfinished at 2.5 minutes on the beat that everybody's saying sound like Young Jeezy beat, that's the one that I think she need to go forward with, right? I think they need to. I think she need to perfect that song, get a Young feature on there. That's a hit, I think. The other song is cool. It's like a traditional diss, but the writing could have been better, or the delivery. Maybe something about it could have been better. It missed. It missed the mark. A lot of people said it's trash. I think it's good, but it's not a modern diss. Like, a lot of modern disses are good songs. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was just, say the most disrespectful stuff you could think of, say it in a bunch of bars, and then put it out. That's how it used to be. Those days are gone now. With Drake dropping like diss hit songs, and now Kendrick diss hit songs, and those days of just say the most bars that you could say about a person, those days are gone. So now you got to make it sound good too. And JT didn't put a lot of time into making it sound good. What she went and did is she went and wrote her verse, right? She's in the studio all day writing a verse. And as soon as she finished writing the verse, she went in the studio, in the booth, and rapped it. So she's reading it off the phone and stuff like that. And you could tell, right? It sounds a little like the delivery is not strong. You could tell she's reading it off the phone. She don't know the verse like that. So before you drop these songs, you gotta rap it a bunch of times, sit with it, listen to it, say, I should have said this different. And then you go change it. Like, that's how you make a good diss song these days. All right. So I think that it could be better, but I do like one of them JT songs that came out. Shout out to her. Ice Spice has been hit in the middle of all of this also, with a call recording being released. Ice Spice responded with a twerk video, right? Shout out to her. She is unbothered. She's in Paris twerking. She's unbothered. I appreciate that. I think with these two juggernauts fighting like this, I think everybody else needs to stay out the way. Stay out the way. Don't respond to nothing. There might be some collateral damage. Lotto got brought up also. There's some collateral damage in here. Just stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? Lotto didn't respond. That's what I think should happen, right? Young Miami was briefly mentioned in the Magnet verse, like not by name, but she was mentioned. She ain't said nothing. Like, this is how you kind of should be handling this right now. Cardi and Nicki are like two suns, two solar systems beefing, like about the colliding. There's explosions everywhere. Just try to get out the way of these things. You understand? That's the best. That's the best course of action for pretty much every other rapper. Get out these people's way. Somehow, all of this spent into JT beefing with Santana. I'm like, don't they tell men to stay out of women's business all the time? Why do they let Santana? Why do these fans let Santana get in this stuff? Like, just ridiculous, right? Also, not Party Next Door. I'm tripping. Partisan Fontaine is in it now because JT sent him a message a couple years ago in 2021 saying she wanted to get in the studio with him. He screenshots it, sends it to Cardi B. So then Cardi B puts that screenshot out, like exposing that she wants to work with Partisan Fontaine also, who's a writer. He's a very well-known writer, right? Yeah, Van, Cardi was lifting up Miami in a Magnet verse, but I'm just saying she was mentioned and she didn't respond. Like she's staying out of it. I think that's the smart way to do it. Leave these people alone. Meg Thee Stallion also staying out of it, right? So let me read some of these joints. Definitely when I go silent, it's the last stage before I go off. Yep. Van, if something happened to both girls, it's not going to stop. That's true. Juice, Nicki is acting like Kanye with the disorganized thinking and manic behavior. That's facts. And I'm about to come back to that. Van, Big and Pac went and you had Thug versus Lucci, Dirk versus YB, Gotti versus Dolph. And then one of the more famous ones from my upbringing is Jeezy versus Gucci. There was bloodshed on that one also. So I think this is more like Jeezy and Gucci than it is like Thug and Lucci or Dirk and YB or Gotti and Dolph. This is kind of like Gotti and Dolph, honestly, except Gotti and Dolph got violent fast, like quick. But that's kind of what I mean about the men. The men, it goes to like once a line is crossed, it's violence immediately. Don't forget, Dolph had been shot before he got killed. Like they shot Dolph a few times. One of those times he got shot at 100 times, and then another one of those times, but he didn't get hit during the 100 times. But then another one of them times he got shot up and he actually was hit. And Black Youngster was actually implicated in that shooting. So they was beat, like it went to violence very quick. And then when Dolph got killed, a lot of violence was seen in Memphis. So this Cardi B and Nicki thing is kind of like Dolph and even the origin of it. Where Gotti felt like Dolph was disrespecting him and he wasn't showing, he was just violating and stuff like that. Even the origin is similar with Cardi B and Nicki to Dolph and Gotti, right? So, but the men doing what men do a lot of times, they get violent when it comes to disrespect. So I think that, it's very similar. YB and Dirk was completely, it didn't make sense at all. It just didn't make sense at all. Thug and Lucci also similar. They had ties back in the day, and then things split and splintered, and then it became violent. So I agree with that. Van said, no JT diss songs didn't hit because she ranted on Twitter for 3 days and used what Cardi told us on the album. She put Twitter rants on a beat. That's facts. She shouldn't have did the Twitter rant. Should have went straight to the booth. JT don't have a strong fan base. She wanted to use the barbs until Nicki said barbs blackout. That's also a fact. Somebody said, yo, Nicki, post a picture with you and JT so that Santana would shut up. Nicki said, I ain't posted shit. So Nicki even pulled back her support from JT, which is crazy because like Van said, JT don't really have a fan base for real. Like she had people that like her, but them is kind of like City Girls fans. You see what I'm saying? And they either City Girls fans or they Barbs. They not really like, JT don't really have a fan base for real, not a core fan base. If she does, it's very, very small. Cardi was lifting Miami up, yep. JT attacked Saucy in text message for singing Cardi's song. He begged her to keep it off social media. She wanted it public. That's true too. But Santana was supposedly dancing to the diss track, right? Ain't that what he was doing? Dancing to Magnet, the diss song. All of this is very crazy. And I'm really talking about it because it's like rap related, but it's crazy. Nicki dissed to Megan didn't work because she wouldn't stop the rants. Megan dropped and left the internet. Also, when Megan dissed Nicki, the song went #1. These hoes ain't mad at Megan. These hoes mad at Megan's Law. That song went #1. So I know that Nicki is not over that. And when Nicki put her album out, she'll probably still be dissing Meg Thee Stallion. She's definitely still dissing Roc Nation because of how the Meg and Nicki diss beef went, right? But I think Meg, of course, like I said this before, Meg and Nicki's beef is more so Meg beefing with Roc Nation, and she was just like a pawn. Megan was just like a pawn in that whole thing. But anyway, now something Juice said, And Nicki is acting like Kanye with the disorganized thinking and manic behavior. Another situation that happened since the last time I was on here is Dame Dash on the Breakfast Club. Ain't that a crazy segue right there? We talking about Nicki Minaj and Kanye and disorganized thinking and manic behavior. That rolls us right into Dame Dash because that's what Dame looks like to me, right? No, he rapped the start of the song, not the diss. He also supported JT diss before this one dropped. Yeah. So Dame Dash went on the Breakfast Club. They went super viral, right? They went dumb viral. Dame was like, I feel like they brought him back on to get their get back from how the outcome of the 2016 interview went, right? Because Dame pretty much made them look bad, even though Dame was pretty much disrespected 90% of America by talking about people with 9-to-5 jobs. People were still highly entertained and felt like Dame won that argument, right? They felt like Dame at least was making more sense than they was, even though we all have jobs. It's not like we want to have jobs. We have jobs because we have to have jobs to feed our families. But if we had the choice between making the exact same money as a business owner versus working a job for that money, most of us would just work for ourselves and have a much different lifestyle, right? So that whole argument started, and it's crazy because they argued with him, but then they also bossed up. They like Charlemagne, Angela Yee, and Envy took their business, their outside businesses to a whole new level after that interview, that first interview, right? So now the thing about it is Envy, Charlemagne, and Angela Yee took their business to another level, but Dame seemed to have fall off several levels from then. And Dame was considered broke in 2016, but he even fell off even more after that, right? I'm saying fell off. I don't know his actual finances, but it appears that he fell off even more after that. He's been sued a whole bunch more times. He owes a bunch of money and child support, owes a bunch of money for taxes, all this type of stuff, right? And it's becoming public, right? So now we have a glimpse into it. We can see what his assets are. He's saying he don't have no money. He got $5,000 to his name, couple watches, you know what I'm saying? No house, like, so we can see stuff, right? The thing about he went back up there, so he pretty much didn't go up there on some humble, like, yeah, I'm down right now, I'm trying to get myself back together. But no, he went up there talking the same way he was talking when he was back in 2016, or damn near like he still had Rockefeller money, right? And Charlemagne, and they pretty much let him have it, right? Clowned him crazy and all that. Dame was up there mad, calling Charlemagne gay, calling him a girl, all that type. It was very funny still. But it was embarrassing, like on some like, wow, I can't believe Dame is going out like this. So Dame is beefing with Charlemagne and them. He's beefing with Cameron, which looks absolutely crazy. And the reason I connected that to the Nicki and Kanye topic or a comment from Juice is because when I look at Dame, he's going through these health issues and all this type of stuff. When I see Dame, I really think that there's something going on neurologically. Right? I think that Dame is showing early signs of like Alzheimer's or something like that. Because first of all, he is having a hard time controlling his anger. That's first. Second of all, his memory is messing up. He having a hard time remembering things. You can see Dame in the middle of a conversation. He gets mad at people if they cut him off, because then he forgets where he was at. He forgets what he was talking about, right? He's telling old stories and he's completely mixing up all the details of the story. Like, people are coming out saying, what is Dame talking about? That didn't happen like that, right? He's mixing the details up. He's mixing people up. He's saying he can't remember where he was in a sentence. And then he's irrationally irritated and irritable about things that shouldn't irritate you like that, right? He has the signs of early Alzheimer's. To me, this is one, like, it looks like dementia, early dementia. Right? Has anybody been around anybody with dementia before? See, people just make it seem like dementia, oh, they forgot their name, they forgot this. It's not just that. People with dementia are also extremely angry a lot of times too. A lot of times that's the hard part about dealing with that. Right? One of the harder parts is they really get the tripping. Right? I'm talking about tweaking, want to cuss everybody out. They really be tripping. And then they also get even more irritated when they realize they can't remember something. Right? So now And maybe it might not be dementia. Maybe it could be something being caused by all the medication that Dame is taking and is messing up his memory. There was a story that Dame told. Dame was like, yo, that down in that old boy beat that Dipset rapped on, that Cameron song, Old Boy. He was like, that wasn't Cameron's beat. He stole that beat from Kanye. Dame gets on it and tells this story like it was just a fact. He's like, yeah, Cam stole that beat from Kanye. Everybody who knows about that song knows that Kanye didn't make that beat. Just Blaze made the beat, right? But this is what I mean about just he's mixing people up. He's telling stories wrong. It wasn't like Dame wasn't there. Dame was there. But he don't remember how it happened for real. So it's either the medication is messing with his memory or he has dementia or something like dementia. Alzheimer's or dementia, one of those two, right? And it's also impacting how he's talking when he's talking to people about business and stuff like that. He's just being irrational with a lot of things. There's other stories that he told. He told a story, when I was hustling, I was riding the car with Cam and Big L, and I told Cam that I had 3 bricks in the car, and he said he was going to go to PC or whatever. And Cam was like, me, Dame, and Big L have never been in a car together, ever. So even so I'm thinking that people are looking at him like Dame is just lying. I'm thinking that Dame is remembering things incorrectly. He's not trying to lie. He's just not remembering stuff the right way. Something is wrong with him. Right? Something is wrong with him. And it's coming out in front of the camera because he is not recognizing that something's wrong with him. I bet you when he's at his house, I bet you his wife, Rocky, is constantly having to redirect Dame, constantly having to remember stuff for him, probably constantly telling him, hey, Dame, you forgot to zip your pants up. Hey, Dame, because like this stuff like this gets progressively worse. Like next thing, if it's actually dementia or something like that, or if there, maybe some like tiny tumor on his brain or some type of lesions on his brain, something like that, the next thing that's going to come, his speech is going to start sounding different. Slurred speech, all this type of stuff, right? He's going to start sounding, but he's probably still going to be talking shit. So people are not going to be as sympathetic with him, right? And he's probably going to lose control of certain bodily functions. That's how stuff like that happens. It progresses in that way, right? Using the bathroom on himself. These are things that could be happening already in his house that we just don't see, right? And not to say that it is happening, I'm saying if it was happening, we wouldn't know about it, right? But I think Dame is on either the medication is messing his mind up or we're looking at dementia, right? Let me read these comments right here. Van said, Dame says something that I haven't seen anyone mention. He said the state took his share of Roc Nation to get access to the books. They comparing some of the records for the casino bid. Wait, what? State took his share of Roc Nation to get access to the books. They comparing some of the records for the casino bids. He never had Roc Nation. Wait, what you mean? You got to break that down because Jay-Z went and started Roc Nation in a partnership with Live Nation by himself. He didn't have Dame or Biggs as a partner on that one. Van said, yeah, dimension is different for everyone. He said, twins I know have it. One attacks people in the family and scream all day, attack the grandchild when the other one is calm. An early sign is them repeating themselves. That's true because they done forgot they said it. But yeah, like he just said, one is attacking people in the family and scream all day. That's how some people's dementia look like that. They are angry a lot, right? But y'all let me know what y'all think about that. I'm not gonna go too deep. I didn't pull up anything to read about dementia, but I just, I've seen it up close before. So, oh no, that wasn't. Dame had 1/3 of it. It went to auction. That wasn't Roc Nation. Dame had 1/3 of Reasonable Doubt and Rockefeller. The thing that went up for auction was Reasonable Doubt. His 1/3 share of the album, Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z's first album. They took that because he had to pay for a lawsuit, and he didn't have the money, so they took they made him auction off Reasonable Doubt. And they say this is what Cameron said, that Jay-Z offered Dame $1.5 million for his piece of Reasonable Doubt, and he turned it down because he didn't want Jay-Z to have it. Right? Then Cam said him and Mace came together for a combined $1 million to bid on it. And Dame also turned that down, saying, nah, Drake is about to buy it for $6 million. So probably lying, right? And Drake didn't end up buying it. So then Dame calls Cam back 3 weeks later and said, hey, y'all still want to get this joint? And Cam was like, nah, we don't want to do it no more. and Dame was mad about that. So yeah, so Dame didn't end up getting the 1.5 from Jay-Z, and they ended up probably just taking. I think they took it, and he only got like, I'm saying only. They pretty much sold it for what he owed, like 800,000. But yeah, that's enough rambling for me. I've been on here longer than I expected to, but an hour and a half. Y'all let me know what y'all think, please, and thank you. Thank y'all for actually, did y'all want to watch this video? Did y'all want to watch this video of the lady, the teacher talking to see what she was saying?
Hi guys. I was going to talk.
Let me play the audio and then let me see what she's talking about. This is a video that she put up about boundaries. Let's see what she's saying. Let's see what she's talking about.
Hi guys. I was going to talk to you today about boundaries. And one of the things I want to say to start with is people only do to you what you let them do to you.
Hold on. The teacher, Juice, the teacher that I talked about on my last podcast that I had an entanglement with in high school. That teacher. Let me put this on the screen. This is the teacher now at 40.
If you do not have expectations on how you want to be treated, and if you don't put those out there to people, they're going to treat you how they want to treat you. Why are you hanging out with people that make you feel bad? Why are you hanging out with people that take advantage of you?
Why are you hanging out with kids? Let's get to that. Shout out to shout out to Zip with the Drip. Shout out to Mac Wop. Why you hang out with kids? Let's get to that. Should I read y'all some of the messages that people have sent me about this lady? Should I read some of these messages to y'all? We're gonna say allegedly, but let me just read some of these messages to y'all about things that have been said to me about her. Here's one of them. The message I got a couple days ago. Yo, what year was it Reese was messing with you? I came out 05 from Cheney. She was a sub there, then a permanent sub in like 03, 04, I believe. She was definitely inappropriate to me and others. I never pursued, but I do know a couple cats that did, to the point they were driving her car. We all knew shit was going on. Glad you brought this to the light. Shit wild. That's a message that I got a few days ago from somebody. This lady was letting students drive her car. That's how much inappropriateness was going on. This is from somebody that was around. You can't sue me for misinformation. This is a story from a person. Get off my page, lady. She said, this shit's so wild. Yeah, bro, you definitely wasn't the only one. That sob story she told about her fiance is wild. She was engaged to one of the football coaches in 05. He probably called it off because of all the rumors at school. That's the same thing I heard back then. I heard that her and her fiance broke up because this is what I heard. I'm just saying what I heard, allegedly. It's not allegedly that I heard it, but I heard it. Her fiance broke up with her because he found out she was messing with kids. Not because he beat her and stole her money and cheated on her, all that. No, because he found out she was messing with children. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's a big alleged. But that's what I heard. Supposedly she was dealing with a coach. She was engaged to a coach. And I'm not going to say what the coach's name was on there. Another message that y'all that I didn't talk to y'all about. This is from somebody, all black children. She only did this to black children. The crazy thing is, before she worked at my school, the school that I had her at, she was at a school, they had white kids there. But she has only been associated with black boys. There was white kids at these schools that she did this to, and it was never a white kid. Hey, I see that question you just asked, Van. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Here's somebody that was her coworker. It's super late, and I just spent the last 2 hours learning and processing the reality of my former colleague. but I just found out that she was doing the same to my super goofy, at-risk, but brilliant algebra student last year at Pittsburgh's Alternative Education High School. And the kids knew it. I hate her. Make her pay. This is from her coworker. Now, her recent coworker from last year. Let me read that again. I just found out that she was doing the same shit to my goofy, super at-risk, but brilliant algebra student last year at Pittsburgh's Alternative Education High School, and the kids knew. I hate her. Make her pay. Now, Casey, you ask a good question. Why break up and not report it to the authorities? You got to remember something. That was a different time. That was a different time, Casey. He, like many people, especially in the white community, but many people, period, black boys that are teenagers are seen as men, right? So this coach probably didn't look at, I'm speaking for him, but I can't speak for him. This coach is not really looking at it like she's dealing with kids, right? The coach is looking at it like she cheated on me. That's how the coach is. I'm speaking for the coach, but I don't know. The coach is looking at it like she just cheated on me, not she's messing with kids. You got to remember, I'm walking around high school. I'm 6'2". They see me. I got a beard, mustache, and all that. Even though I am a kid, they don't see me as a kid. Just like she don't see black boys as kids. She see black men. She see black boys as men and objects of her affection, allegedly. Right? So people wasn't just like me. I didn't report it either because I didn't think nothing was wrong. I'm looking at myself like I'm a grown man, and that's how they look at us too. Where they talk about how cops are way more aggressive with black boys, how they charge us as adults way more. It's because they see us as adults, and that's the whole thing about not seeing the humanity. That man, as the victim of cheating, didn't see the humanity in the victims there. He saw these boys as men that are taking his white woman from him. Right. So that's the whole thing about that. And I'm speaking for without really knowing. I'm speaking on the rumors. This is the allegedly. You understand? But I heard the same thing back then, that he broke up with her because of the rumors at the school. You understand? And I would tell y'all the name of the person in Youngstown that it was alleged that this went on with, because I have the name. You understand? I have the name. I just got another long message. Hey, I'm gonna read this. When I get. If you're watching me, I'm gonna read this when I finish this pod. Let me mark this as unread. All right, but Casey said, "I hate her. Make her pay." I guess I could see that. However, yeah, no, Casey, you're right. Somebody should have reported it, but this is 2005, 2006, 2007. We're not seeing the world like how we see it today. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of teenage boys deal with grown women, and it's never been seen as us being a victim. It's only a recent thing that we see that as being a victim. Now you start to see, teachers are getting locked up for this and all that. It's not because it's just now happening more. It's because it was never reported, because boys was never seen as victims back in those. That's 20 years ago. Boys wasn't seen as victims of women's sexual assault. You see what I'm saying? It was back in those days. It was only looked at as the girls could be victims of male teachers. Even if everybody knew that this teacher was inappropriate, it just wasn't seen the same way now. I mean, as it is now. It's a whole different ballgame, right? So but yeah, shout out to everybody. That was just a little update. We looked at that video, but she ain't on there talking about nothing though. Nothing of substance. And she don't understand boundaries her damn self. So I don't even know how she trying to give advice on boundaries. But yeah, I will say this. I have never heard a rumor about her messing with a kid and the kid was not black. All the rumors, I'm calling them rumors. I only know one confirmed. I'm the only confirmed that I know. But there's other people saying that there's confirmation on other ones too. I have never heard of a rumor associated with her and kids inappropriately where the person was not a black boy. Never heard of an inappropriate relationship with her and a black girl. Never heard inappropriate with her and a Latino boy. Never heard of her and a white boy. Never heard of her and an Asian boy. Not one time. I've only heard stories and rumors about her and black boys. Some I knew personally, some I didn't know at all. Those are the only ones I heard. So when you say you're not preying on black boys and you don't want nobody thinking you're preying on black boys, it's hard to not think that. If the only ones that you have been associated with inappropriately have been black boys, even in the midst of a bunch of white kids. Even when you are around a bunch of white kids, you are still finding yourself attaching and associating with the black boys. It's interesting. It's crazy. It is interesting and crazy. That's all I got. I just wanted to give y'all an update on that, man. I don't have anything else for y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. I know I missed a few weeks. I was trying to decompress off that joint because it'd been heavy. I put the heavy one out a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it was good enough that it should breathe. You understand? It should breathe. And I've been super tired. I got a coach in the morning. My son's baseball team got a coach in the morning. So I'm saying my son's baseball team. It's my baseball team too because I'm the head coach. So we playing baseball in the morning. And I'm dumb tired, so I'm about to go chill, about to go lay down. I think because I was really only gonna wear these glasses for my birthday episode, but because I don't go anywhere, these will just be my podcast glasses. So shout out to Cartier. If y'all want to give me a sponsorship, if y'all like people who break down cases, and if y'all like people who do backgrounds and deep dives into stories and stuff like that, y'all want me to put y'all logo on these videos so that y'all can get 15 views and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Tap in with me. I don't know if I have a Cartier shopping fan base, but so what? Still, give me some money, man. Let me get some of that bread. I need it. You see, I need it, right? But that's all I got, man. Y'all be easy and y'all have a good evening. Appreciate y'all.